Philippians 2:5, have this attitude in yourself, which was also in Christ Jesus. Think about that with me for a minute. I think about that all the time. It hits me over and over again. Think about what that's saying. I mean, it doesn't say, okay, guys, there's no way you can have an attitude like Jesus had. Okay, guys, forget it. Just, maybe sit next to the guy who's sitting next to the guy who's sitting next to the guy. You know what I mean? And there are churches that are built around that idea, and God bless them. But right there in the book, it says, have this attitude in you that was in Christ Jesus. Think about what that means about your potential, about our potential. This is at the core of so much of what we do. It means that it's possible to have the same thing in your heart that Jesus had in his. Wow. I mean, I got work to do. I don't know about anybody else, but the fact that the work can be done, the fact that the work is being done is huge. I mean, I guess in a way it's a little bit like saying, what would Jesus do? But how would Jesus love? How would Jesus respond to the things that are going on in my life? And I got to tell you, that's not something that I always knew about. When I was 12, 13, I was a pretty mixed up kid. I had a lot going on. I really felt the whole world pushing down on me. And I really didn't know what to do. I had this nightmare over and over again. It seems like it was just about every night I had this nightmare, and the details would change of the nightmare, but in broad strokes, it was me getting chased by a monster. You never had that dream? Just me? Okay. I know, it's pretty common. But the thing that was uncommon was I couldn't shake it. I got to where I didn't even want to go to sleep at night because I was pretty sure I'd have the nightmare again. And look, I wasn't all that connected with my folks. I didn't talk about it with my parents. But I went to this really crazy hippie school where we didn't do a lot of math or a lot of reading, but we sat around and we sang a lot of songs. And we talked about our feelings an awful lot. And I don't know that it prepared me for the job market, but I had a safe space. And so I had this nightmare, and I had this nightmare, and I had this nightmare, and I couldn't shake the nightmare, and I got scared of going to sleep at night, and I was able to talk to my teacher. I called her Karen because, of course, we called our teachers by our first names in this school. And I said, Karen, I'm having this problem. I'm having this dream over and over again. I'm getting chased by this monster over and over again. I don't know what to do over and over again. I'm scared. What do I do? And she said, everybody has this. Oh, okay. And she said, look, here's what might work for you. It's what worked for me when I had that same problem. She said, I know that you can't always steer your dream. You don't always remember that you're dreaming, but I want you to try to remember that you have a choice. Okay, this is big advice for all kinds of parts of life. But when you feel like you're being chased by the monster, I want you to turn around, stop running. I want you to turn around and ask the monster for a present. Ask for a gift. Well, this is against the grain of everything that I had wanted to do. The fight or flight reflex is huge. Freddy Krueger's coming at you and all that. But, okay. And, it wasn't that first time I had the nightmare because I had to work on it and I had to remember. But soon enough, I got to that place where I'm running and I remembered. And I turned around and I said, okay, what? You are supposed to give me a gift. Where is it? And I'll never forget it. When I close my eyes, I can still see this big, scary, hairy monster reach out from behind and give me this box. It was a white box with a red ribbon on it. Like a commercial. And I'll tell you what, it's crazy, but I don't know what was in the box. But as soon as I received it, I woke up, and I never had the dream again. Now, other problems to solve, other issues to do, other mountains to climb, sure. But that moment changed everything for me. And look, I didn't learn a lot in that school other than a real good grounding in the lyrics to If I Had a Hammer. I got that one. But that was enough. Because I want you to think about how many times the strategy is to run, to be scared, to fight. I want you to think with me about how many times we are sold a new monster The monster of insecurity, the monster of getting older, the monster of whatever people are doing in that other place in the world somewhere where they're different than me. The monster of people who believe different or think different or have more or less money than me. The monster of reverse mortgages. I don't know, stay up late at night and you'll see things that will give you a new monster. Thinning hair, I don't know. And in fact, there are whole industries based on the idea of creating a new monster and on selling you a way to run faster. You know what I mean? I want you to think about the things that you do in your life, and I will think with you because it's something that everybody ought to work on. Let us think about what we're about to engage in whenever we're about to engage in something, what we're about to spend our money on, spend time on, talk about, and ask yourself this question: is this just helping me run faster? There are big old hunks of life dedicated to helping you run faster, but as my karate teacher always said, there's always somebody tougher. If you're in the fight game, sooner or later you will lose the fight game. I know you're not supposed to talk about Fight Club, but I did. It's about finding something different. Because the thing is, if you live in the paradigm of the fight, if you live in the paradigm of the race, in other words, if your expectation of life is running, you will get tired because you're not built for it. And I don't know about you, but I have lived that truth. I have felt that exhaustion. I have given up in many areas and had to get up again and start over and feel that and just get tired. If you live in the paradigm of the monster being a monster, you'll never get where you need to go because you're too busy looking over your shoulder. But something amazing happens when you listen to the advice of my middle school teacher, Karen, when you just turn around and say, give me a present. Give me a gift. Think about what that does. For one thing, it tears down the paradigm that there's good guys and bad guys, that there's me and the monster, that I'm supposed to be afraid all the time. It instead invites the idea that there's something in this present that is a present. That's why they call it that. There's something here for me to learn. And all of a sudden, I don't have an enemy anymore. I don't have an adversary anymore. I just have growth. I want you to think about the monsters in your life. And it very well might be that they've got something to teach you, that they've got something to give you. They do, or they wouldn't be there. But to get to that place, I have to give a present first, and the present is my love. I have to decide, you're worth it, monster. You know that golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you? We talk about the proactive nature of that you turn and give first. Give the present. Decide that there is something you can give by way of saying, you know what, monster, in this case played by the guy in accounting that I don't want to talk to, in this case played by the ex or the in-laws or the tax collector or whatever that sports ball team is today. Sports ball. They're going to sports really hard today. I just know it. Whatever it is. Can you be the kind of person that says, you know what, no monster anymore. I love you. In whatever way I'm capable of it, I will grow in my ability if I use those muscles. That's how it works. But I'm telling you something that you already know because you are designed to give. You are designed to give that. You are designed to be a blessing. Look at that baby. You're designed to give and shower love upon everyone around you. That's how it works. You know it. But not everybody acts on it. Because giving can feel scary. Because if I give you my love, my attention, my time, it means I have to be okay with the idea that you might not take it the way I want you to take it. You might not respond the way I want you to respond. If I give you my love, part of it is me saying, I know that I'm not in control of what happens next. Oh, no. When you're never in control of what happens next. That's the beauty of love, is stepping into that. But not everybody knows it. And so sometimes, instead of giving, sometimes people take that desire and they focus instead on just not being bored. Because we've got this desire to go and do and be and create and have more and all of that. And sometimes people don't know how to give that because they don't feel so good about themselves, or I don't know why. It takes work maybe, I don't know. And instead of giving, they decide, I'm just going to medicate and not be bored for a minute. And man, oh man, there's a lot of ways to not be bored. Oh man, there's a lot of ways to not be bored. But what's interesting is the difference between giving and not being bored, between, let's call it, meditation on big things and medication. Ask yourself of what you're doing. Am I giving, growing, pushing against something, or am I just not being bored for a minute? The other night, I was at a restaurant with my best friend. It was awesome. We have decided, because there's so much going on in our lives, we have carved out this little spot on Thursday nights where we don't talk about anything related to work or children, as wonderful as they are, or paying bills, or even the church, even though it's in my heart. We don't talk about any of that. We just sit and we look at each other, and we eat food, and it's the one night of the week I let myself have dessert. It's incredible. And stuff, we just talk. And I remember why she's my best friend, and we were talking about Nietzsche, and we were talking about how the city of St. Pete's growing, and we were talking about everything in between, and it was so much fun. And we looked around the restaurant because we were not allowed to have our phones out on the table. Weird, I know. And we were just talking, and I looked around the restaurant, and we saw a group of friends who clearly hadn't seen each other in a while. We saw two grandparents and their college-age granddaughter just trying so hard to relate to each other. And it was beautiful, because everybody was trying. It's like saying, you're worth it, I'm going to try. And we saw this other group of people who were both clearly on first dates. It was a double date. And they sat down, and they talked for a minute, and then they ordered, and then all four of them It's amazing to see. It was like watching an episode of Black Mirror or one of those weird dystopian future shows where it's just, what? And you know what it was? It was boring. That's the thing. Our efforts to not be bored make us boring. So here's what I want. Take a minute and go through the inventory of your life, the things that you do, and ask yourself, does this make me boring? Do these pants make my butt look boring? Is this boring? Ask yourself that question of what you're doing. Does this make me boring? Because you're here to engage. There's too much cool stuff going on to be distracted anymore. So ask yourself, this job, this conversation, this gossip, your phone makes you boring. Put it away for a minute. I know you need to be called and all of that, and Candy Crush calls you, but put it away for a minute. Because if it makes you boring, it keeps you from making a change. And we are here to change the world. That's what this is all about. Does your church make you boring? Does it teach you to sit still and not ask questions? I hope not. I want questions. Do stuff. Ask questions. Don't sit still. The mission, the ministry of Jesus Christ was in part, let us go and make trouble. Let us upset the apple cart and kick over the tables in the temple. Let's ask annoying questions because there are answers. Asking a question is a statement of faith, isn't it? Because I believe there's an answer out there somewhere. Pretty cool. Let us engage. Let us take down the barriers. When you think about the things that Jesus Christ said, one thing that you know for sure is that they were simple things. There's no jargon in the Sermon on the Mount, for example. You know what I mean? Jesus talked about, let the kids come in. I got something to tell the kids. Simple enough for a child to understand. And there's that quote, and I'm going to get it wrong, but it's something like, if you can explain it to a child and to your grandma, then you know what's going on. But if you've got to use special words, if you've got to use jargon, maybe you don't know what you're talking about. I have been in churches where there's a wonderful, well-intentioned, brilliant person on the stage who says, okay, guys, we're all going to focus on, and then words come out and I don't know what they mean. Okay, today we're going to focus on our intentional, vibrational awareness of stellar consciousness as it applies to our veganism. And I go, okay, I know what those, well, no, I don't. Like I said, the person has good intentions. But there's a line there. If I have to look up the word, I'm probably not gonna. So I don't know if it happens to other people, but I'm aware that what can happen is that I sit down and I hear these words about attunement and awareness and things that sound good, but I don't know what they mean because they mean so many different things that they end up not meaning much in particular. And I don't ask. But what I do is I go, okay, I don't know, but it sounds cool. And there are other people who are also nodding, even though it's an Emperor's New Clothes thing. They're also nodding. And then it goes from being an educational opportunity into being an ego trip. Because it feels cool to know. And those new people that just walked in, they don't know about my attunement awareness paradigm. Even though I don't either. Well, vibrations, does it mean if I shake more? That's weird. No. Here's the thing. We teach classes and all of that. We have stuff going on. But the object of the classes is not for you to learn the terminology. It's for you to live the life. Ask yourself what you're doing. Because the ego thing puts up walls, and we're here to tear them down. Are you doing something to tear down the walls? That is why we're here. That is our story. That is our myth. Ooh, that's a weird word. You know, myth as opposed to mythter. Sorry, what do you want? I'm a dad. When people use that word myth, they think it means a lie. Oh, that's just a myth. But that's not what the word means. Does anybody know what the word myth means? Let's define words and be very clear about them. The word myth means truer than true. It means it's so true that the details don't matter. That's what the word actually means. It means it's so true that it's true in our bones, that we feel it, that we know it just like we know we're alive. It doesn't matter what the details are. Does it matter if George Washington really threw a silver dollar across the Potomac? No, it's something about our character that as Americans we carry. Does it matter if he really chopped down the cherry tree and said, I cannot tell a lie, and his parents did not call social services? No, it has to do with something about our character. A myth is something that is truer than true because it lives in your heart. Now, I believe in the historical Jesus Christ. I believe that he existed. I believe that he did the things the Bible said he did. I believe in those teachings. I believe that it happened. But at the end of the day, I'm not here to debate what his sandal size was. It doesn't matter. You know, we had Christmas just a little bit over a month ago, and there are some people who go, well, you know, because of the way that the cattle were lowing or whatever, it couldn't have been in the wintertime. And I go, awesome. So, you know, if I'm on my game, I'm trying to live that life year-round. It just so happens that we have this one day where we put up a tree. Okay. It doesn't matter. Because it's not about mastering the details. It's about living the life. Here's what I'm trying to tell you. The details are not important. The life, the love, the feeling, the you that is in and through all the details are important. You know what? As you look through the myth of your life, maybe some of the details are bleak. Maybe there's problems with the details of the love life, of the bank account, of the physicality, like it's not working the way I want it to work, and some of those infomercials are looking pretty good. Maybe the details aren't so hot sometimes. But are you the details? Is that where your identity comes from? Or are you something more? Are you the details, or are you something more? So much of this life has to do with taking it back. I think so many of the problems that we face as individuals and as a culture perhaps have to do with a reversal of the order where we think that the details dictate who we are. Oh, well, right now the job's not so good. It makes me feel like a loser. Therefore, I'm a loser. Well, and then I have lost my ability to really engage, to really make a difference. You know what? The pants size isn't what I want it to be. Therefore, this is who I am now. Well, it's not who you are. It's your clothes. And those change from time to time, hopefully. I mean, there's a new season. There's new looks. There's new things. You know what I mean? You are not the details. It's about taking that back. no matter what it looks like on the outside. You know, it's no accident that so often the story of the hero starts in a boring place. I mean, think about the stories that you know. There's Cinderella, not doing so hot at the beginning. There's Harry Potter living under the stairs. There's Rapunzel up in the tower. There's Luke Skywalker on the farm. How many stories start in a boring place? Isn't it interesting that we tell the same stories over and over again? Isn't it interesting that cultures who had no idea of each other in all kinds of parts of the world, who had no way to communicate, this is before America Online, had no idea how to share, tell the same kind of story? Why is that? Why is it still good storytelling? It's good storytelling because it resonates with something that is true in us. This story is trying to tell itself in us. And part of the story, this part of the story is, it's okay if your life right now seems mundane. That's where all the hero stories start. They don't stay there, though. That's the thing. In every story, you are the orphan who doesn't know that their parents are royalty. You are the sleeping giant. And what I'm trying to tell you is it's now time to wake up. Because it's time to start a new chapter. It's time to move on from whatever was before into something that can be next. You know, Jesus Christ made big claims on God using the same heart you have, the same mind you have, the same child of God nature that you have. And through making big claims on God, he makes big claims on us. What shall we do about it? And there are people who say it's great to have this attitude in you that was in Christ Jesus. It's great when he says, the works I do, you shall do also in greater things. But he doesn't know where I've been. Doesn't he? How common, how boring, how mundane, how dysfunctional has your past been? You ever walked in a place and somebody says, shut the door, what were you born in a barn? Meaning, you know, well, where was he born? It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter what you're chewing on now. I mean, I care, but I care so much that I don't see you that way. Let's not see each other that way. Let's not see ourselves that way. Sometimes it's so much easier to see other people in a positive light and not ourselves. Can you see yourself like someone who admires you sees you? Try it. Try it. Try it. Take it back. I know that in the outer, sometimes it looks boring, sometimes it looks bad, sometimes it looks slow. You can get caught up in the have-tos of your life. The bills have to get paid. The stuff has to get done. You have to change the oil in the car from time to time, or so I'm told. Things happen. There are a lot of have-tos. Are you the have-tos? I have a day job, as some of you know. This is all I want to do, stand here and talk about this stuff. This is what I believe I'm called to do. This is what I believe I'm here on planet Earth to do, and I'm trying to get better at it all the time. Right now, I've got a day job. And I can get caught up in, got to do the thing, got to fill out the TPS reports, got to get on the computer and do the whatever, I got to sit through the meeting, I got to do I can get caught up in the have-to so much so that the have-to becomes who I think I am. I don't recommend it because it's boring, and we know how bad boring can be. Or I can think about the fact that I'm not just the have-to. I get to wake up earlier than I need to so I can work on my talk. I get to eat a real quick lunch and not go anywhere so that I can just write something for the blog. I get to sit down with Jenny and we record a podcast. I get to do these little things. I get to call the guy at USF and figure this out. Are you the have-tos or are you the get-tos? Because I am giving myself to my get-tos and I'm working on this and I know that God's got big things for me. But I got to do my part. Are you the have-tos or are you the get-tos? There are things in life that are troubling, but they're not who you are. There are things in life that you have to deal with, but you know what? They've got to deal with you too. Make that an interesting bargain and set the rest free. Because, after all, freedom is a choice. Thank you, everybody.